All right, guys, we know millions of people crossed the border over the last 4 years. And whether the number is 2 million, 50 million, 20 million, 30 million, the numbers, that's not the question. The real question is, who were these people? And more importantly, where are they at? And what are they planning behind the scenes? Because some of these Trump officials have come out, and according to new reports from Trump officials, I'm talking Joe Kent, I'm talking Tulsi Gabbard, Tom Homan, they are now warning that among those released during the Biden years are individuals posing severe terrorist risk to the United States. The data's coming out and it paints a very, very dark picture. National Counterterrorism Director Joe Kent testified in December that his team found that 18,000 migrants released during the Biden administration to the public. They're probably living in your neighborhood, including 2,000 from Afghanistan. Tulsi Gabbard spoke about this. It was quickly dismissed. And I can't believe that we have ignored this. These people have to be rounded up. Some of them are probably out protesting, attacking ICE. Let's check this clip out here.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President, for your leadership in bringing the country's attention to what has been happening here at the border and the significant change that has already occurred under the short time that President Trump has been in office. Really, what you're seeing here today and what you'll continue to see is a unified effort across President Trump's national security team, the Department of Homeland Security, towards our mission, which is to ensure a safe, free, and prosperous society for Americans. As Director of National Intelligence, there are a number of areas where we are focused. The President talked about in his speech, over 21 million people have come across our borders illegally under Joe Biden's administration. There are many of them that we don't know who they are. They have not been vetted. We don't know.
21 million. We don't know who they are. We don't know why they're here. We don't know where they're at. We don't know their capabilities, what equipment they brought with them. We don't know if they brought something inside of them that's contagious. We don't know anything.
Where they are. I'll give you one quick example of one of the problems that we are getting after. From Central Asia, there were over 4,000 people who came across our borders using an ISIS-affiliated network. Our National Counterterrorism Center went through and identified those individuals. There were hundreds of them who were either known terrorists or associated with known terrorists. That information was provided to the Biden administration. You may remember in some of the news, a little over 100 of those people were arrested in 2024. Of those who were arrested, only 8 were either deported or remained in custody.
100 arrested that were on this list, only 8 were detained or deported. Where's the other 90 plus? Where are they at? They could very well be in your neighborhood, in your backyard. They could be in your school drop-off line. They could be working at the Lowe's that you go to, the Home Depot. They could be janitors at your kid's school. You see where I'm going with this? This is a slippery slope that the Biden administration violated. 8 CFR section 212.5, the parole of aliens. It's almost like between Mayorkas, Biden, and all these other clowns, the border czar at that time was Kamala Harris, they farted in the elevator and walked out.
Only 8. The rest of them were released back into our country. Where are they? What are they doing? What may they be plotting? This is just the beginning. There are many, many areas that we need to stay very focused on, working with the Department of Homeland Security, working with the FBI to ensure that we're keeping the American people safe. Our Counterterrorism Center is working on making sure that we have that single source for vetting so that we can figure out who is actually in our country and identify those who pose a threat and get them removed. The president's designation of the cartels as foreign terrorist organizations falls directly into this, especially as we're seeing some of the.
This is the reason that the Trump administration has deployed ICE around the United States. Now, if you go by Saul Alinsky's playbook, If you go by the Democrat playbook, which is called Rules for Radicals, this is the way that the Democrat Party has flipped the script. They have made villains out of heroes. They have made heroes out of villains. The people protesting ICE are heroes. The people that are attacking ICE agents are heroes. Law enforcement are the villains. ICE agents, villains. Tulsi Gabbard, villains. But what happens when the people that they have turned into heroes turn on America? The hundreds, the thousands, maybe millions of known bad guys here in the United States that have been heroed by the Democrat Party. What happens when they turn? Rules for Radicals. You should read this book. This is the playbook that the Democrat Party uses. It is a guidebook for social and political organizers. It was written during the 70s. And it's all about controlling the narrative. Does it make sense now why they take your kids to protest? It should, because this is the brainwashing that's occurring. This is a hearing that happened on December 11th. This is the opening statement by the National Counterterrorism Director, Joe Kent. This should be mandatory viewing for everyone in an American household, and every child should be forced to hear this so that they know what to look out for.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, ranking members, and all the members of the House. I appreciate the opportunity to appear before you and discuss the threats posed to our nation. Despite the progress that we've made so far in the Trump administration, the threat posed by terrorists of all brands remains very high right now. We've made significant progress under President Trump's leadership. We have the jihadis of ISIS and al-Qaeda on the run in Iraq and Syria, thanks to the decisive action and the strikes that we've taken there recently since President Trump took office in January. However, we have a persistent threat from the individuals that were allowed into this country by the previous administration. The number one threat that we have right now, in my view, is the fact that we don't know who came into our country in the last 4 years of Biden's open borders. What we have identified is alarming, and I want to share that with you today. We just recently put out a warning of the heightened risk of terrorist attacks posed to the homeland by terrorists pretty much of all stripes, but in particular from ISIS. And
this is the National Counterterrorism Director, says he doesn't know who is in our country. That's an alarm
from al-Qaeda. NCTC has been crunching the numbers and going through the sheer volume of known and suspected terrorists that are in the country that came in under the Biden administration. So far, NCTC has identified around 18,000 known and suspected terrorists that the Biden administration let come into our country. These are individuals who under normal circumstances would never be allowed to enter our country because of their ties to jihadi groups like ISIS and al-Qaeda. Yet the Biden administration not only let them into the country, and in many cases facilitated their entry into the country, just like the entry of the Afghan terrorists who committed the terrorist attack here just before Thanksgiving, killing one of our National Guard members and wounding another. That
18,000 that they know of out of 30 plus million people. I will say the numbers are greater than this. I bet we have 500,000 people in our country that hate your way of life and hate you. And you know that they are being used around the country to incite a lot of dissent and spread rhetoric.
Afghan was brought into the country as a group of over 100,000 Afghans who were brought here during the disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan. These individuals, despite what has been reported, were not vetted properly to come into the United States. The individual terrorist who committed the attack in D.C., he was vetted to serve as a soldier in Afghanistan. The Biden administration essentially used his tactical level vetting as a ruse to bring him here and to bring him into our communities. And we've seen the tragic results of that. Now,
do you think this was on purpose? I'm asking a legitimate question here. Do you believe that this was on purpose by the Biden administration? Whether it was really Biden or not, there's rumors that it wasn't. Alejandro Mayorkas, Henry Becerra, Kamala Harris, some of the other peoples that are in and around the organization, their team, their cabinet. Do you think this was on purpose? With numbers so staggering, it's not an accident. One or two, you know? Okay, they got in. Thousands. This should scare every one of you. If this is Joe Kent, I think he's a retired Green Beret. He is stunned. He's worried. The American people should be worried because the Democrat Party continues to run with these narratives. Bill O'Reilly thoroughly debunks the question of only 14% of illegals are violent. That is the magic number that the Democrat Party runs with. And I'll show you the clip here. This is scary as hell, but it's gaining traction. Awareness is being awakened.
How about the lies that the media continues to feed to the public about how many actual dangerous people ICE has put away?
It's infuriating. So the Democratic Party is now using only 14% of ICE detainees are violent criminals. How many times have you heard that?
A lot.
Okay. So here's the con. Drug dealing is not considered a violent crime. Child pornography, not considered.
No, stop.
Not considered a violent crime.
Really?
Okay. DUI, if you run over someone in your car and the person's dead, not considered violent crime.
Oh, come on.
Domestic abuse, not considered a violent crime. All theft.
Do you consider any of those violent crimes? Running over someone, pictures of kids, DUIs? Do you consider those? I consider those violent crimes.
Everything not considered. All fraud, like we saw in Somalia, in Minnesota, not considered violent.
Oh, clearly.
And the Democratic Party knows this. So they put out a lie that ICE is rounding up poor hotel workers and farmers, and then they use a 14% number, which is totally bogus, to justify abolishing ICE.
That's what they want. The Democrat Party wants to get rid of ICE. They have said so. They said if they come back in power, they will get rid of ICE. Then who controls the border? Who closes the border? Who regulates coming through the border? When you turn the table like they did, they're following the Alinsky playbook. They're making heroes out of villains, villains out of heroes. Antifa is being worshiped. Minnesota, the governor there, and the mayor of Minneapolis are now saying that the federal government, you should pay for the damages to be repaired there. Is that making any sense with any of you? Because this is why the SAVE Act, this is why the SAVE Act is so important to pass. Senator Mike Lee says we have to force the Democrats' hand. Senator Collins out of Maine just flipped. I believe Tom Cotton endorsed her with the whole deal of you're going to flip. Listen to Mike Lee here.
All right, so I'm getting a lot of questions. What's next now that we've got enough votes to get past a motion to proceed to the House-passed version of the Save America Act? We've got to put all of our efforts. I encourage everyone who will listen to the Senate needs to invoke the talking filibuster, to enforce the talking filibuster. If senators want to debate this, if they want to filibuster it, make them work for it. Make them stand up, make them speak. If we do it this way, we can continue this progress, and I think we can get this thing done. Look, there are no guarantees here.
There are no guarantees. But by getting the talking filibuster, we're going to put Democrats on the floor. We're going to hear their lies. We're going to hear their reasoning. We're going to hear why they choose illegal migrants, illegals, criminals. We're going to hear why they choose actual known terrorists in our country over you, the American people. This should upset you. This should absolutely enrage you. It should scare the hell out of you. This is something you need to talk to your family about. This is something you need to talk to your children about. And tell them when they're out protesting because their school says it's okay and they're giving them extra credit, you should let them know what they're protesting against and who they're protesting against. Because we know what the cartels do. We know what the Taliban, ISIS, Boko Haram, we know what they will do. This is the Ben Dyke Show. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you. Be vigilant. Stay locked and loaded. Praise the Lord.